What is up, my friends, and welcome to another video. In today's video, I decided to enter a tournament stacked with pro gamers just to upgrade rush all of them every single game. Now, I'm going to be playing a mix of Terran and random here, depending on the opponents. If I really don't think I can win with my Zerg and Protoss upgrade rushes, I'll pick Terran, and besides that, I'll be playing random. First opponent, actually a lot harder than the usual first round opponents. I'm kind of used to having, like, you know, like a Platinum Leaguer and then a pro player right away. That's usually how it goes. But my first opponent was a Terran on the border of Master and Grandmaster right away. So that's going to be incredibly interesting. Now, I was quite tired on the day of the tournament itself. So I decided to just focus on the gameplay, and then do a voiceover later. And that's also why there is no camera. That's usually the sign of me doing a voiceover if there's no camera, just so you guys know. Now, the first match is going to be a ZVT. He doesn't know that I am Zerg. Now, Zerg upgrade rushes are very interesting because it's not something that you usually think about with Zerg, right? Like, if you think about Zerg gameplay, you imagine, like, the swarm, you know? Like, you just have an Omega unit, you have creep everywhere. Well, that is quite literally the opposite of how I'm gonna play Zerg, because I am, as you guys probably know by now, not gonna have a lot of creep. And I'm gonna have very strong units instead of a lot of them, because they're gonna have mad upgrades, so that's gonna be very interesting to see. There's one strategy that I think is very cool against Terran in particular, and it's not a full upgrade rush, but it's a half upgrade rush. Now, for this game, I am gonna go for the full upgrade rush, but just if you guys want to try it out on the ladder yourself, one thing I think is very awesome if you play against Bio is to go for one super fast evolution chamber and get armor. Because armor is so good against Marines. If you can get +1 armor against +0 attack, or later +2 armor against +1 attack, or in a very extreme case, if they maybe all in you early or something, +2 armor against +0 attack, your units are just not gonna die to Marines anymore. So that's a really, really cool strat that you might consider. Now, I'm gonna go for a pretty chill opening here. This is not exactly the opening that I posted on Patreon a while ago, but it's pretty close. It's gonna be a very safe 4-queen opener. Once again, if you guys want to learn how to play Zerg in an easy way, even up to Grandmaster level, because normally Zerg is playing a bit of rocket science, make sure to check out the Patreon. It's a very nice guide that I have over there. Also posted my first 2v2 video on Patreon, and the people over there really liked it, so if you're interested in that, check it out. Now, this is pretty much the beginning of the build. I go for 4 queens, and then I go for the double gas. Now, this was a bit... it caught me off guard a little bit, because I thought when I didn't see in the command center with my Overlord that he was playing double gas because I was random. But all of a sudden there were 3 Reapers in my face. Also, you guys are definitely going to agree with this, but this player, by the way, never heard of him before, but... honestly, he has some moves, okay? He has some, like, I was pretty impressed by this guy. Like, notice how he didn't lose a Reaper yet. Obviously, that's the key to my heart. You guys know me. Micro your Reapers properly, that gets you pretty far. The way to a man's heart is through Reaper Micro, am I right? So, anyway, you guys are probably going to be enjoying that as well. Now, the double Evo goes down. At this point, I wasn't even sure yet if I wanted to play Zerglings or Roaches. But I was a little bit afraid of the damage I was going to take from these Reapers. As you can see, my queen is low. All this time, I had been expecting him to move up on the high ground, so my queen has been chilling on the high ground, but I think I'm actually going to need it down here. Now, we're going to be able to start the upgrades perfectly. I mean, I did just make a couple drones. Now, this Reaper Micro, all of a sudden, I realized why it's so freaking annoying to play against me, to be honest. Like, this is incredibly annoying. My other queen is low HP. I'm pretty much trying to bait him. I clicked on the... I should have killed one Reaper there. I clicked on the wrong one, and then it healed like 1 tick, and it survived on 1 health, okay? That was pretty unpleasant, to say the least. So anyway, we went for the double upgrades, then the lair. And at this point, because I don't have link speed yet, and the Reapers have been in my face for a while, I decided that it was going to be better to go for a Roach Warren, to be honest. I mean, I could have gone for links here, right? But I mean, I would have still had to make link speed. He potentially could have gone for a really fast double drop follow-up. More commonly, you'll see triple command center and then the double drop, but it is very possible to go for a super fast double drop. he did only make 3 Reapers as well, after all, right? So I thought going for Lynx would be a little bit too slow, so I'm going to be going for the Roaches here. Now there you can see his engineering base are dropping. That made me feel a little bit more safe, actually. That lets me know that he is in it for the macro game. Now here he's... I haven't killed a single... How have I not killed a Reaper yet? It's 5 minutes, guys. This guy, honestly, really reminded me of my gameplay throughout this entire series. Good Reaper micro, unnecessarily vicious with his unit movement, you know? Like, it's freaking crazy, honestly. It's playing like a 2011 uThermal or whatever, you know? Like, this was pretty great. Now, I did realize he went for the double E base, so once again... felt a little bit safer, went ahead and took the 3rd base. Now, I still didn't know when he was gonna hit any kind of drop. Here I see that his 3rd CC was not super fast, so maybe the drop was already on the way and I had to start a couple Roaches. Now, this is when it's gonna start being very hard for him, because as follow-up to a 2x Reaper, you can only really play Bio. At some point, there was a build where you could go into mech, but that was when Cyclones were still really strong. Really not the case at the moment, so definitely gonna have to play Bio from this. Obviously, I also saw that he was making stim and stuff, but even regularly speaking, 2x or 3x Reaper is not gonna be that good into mech. Now, this normally is a fight you might not want to take, but keep in mind, these Roaches already have 1-1. Like, the armor of these Roaches is incredibly strong. Like, you have to be very scared. I already started 2-2 here, by the way, which is freaking insane. I'm gonna make a couple Spore Crawlers over here. Once again, this is also a fight. Please, guys, be careful. I would normally never take this, but it's just the +1 armor is so good against Marines. It's honestly kind of disgusting. Now we can drone up our 3rd base a little bit. Really, the main basic of Zerg is just to know when to build drones and when to make units. And surprisingly, so far, I did a pretty good job. Normally, I'm not super impressed by my Zerg basics, to say the least. But here, I thought it was actually pretty okay. I made the wave of Roaches only when I had to. And now I'm already up to 60 drones before my opponent has his 3rd base landed. And that is with 2-2 on the way as well. So that's very, very nice. Now, since I haven't made a tech building yet, besides Roaches and upgrades, I don't actually need the extra gases. As you can see, I have a lot of gas banked as well. Here we can see a drop. Also, those Spore Crawlers in the main are really delicious, by the way, against medevac drops. Like, especially if you're playing something like Roaches, it's so annoying to deal with sometimes. So I recommend just getting the Spores over there. Now, he's still posturing in front of my 3rd base. He has a couple Widow Mines here. I decided to just go for some micro. Got a little bit of splash damage with that Roach, but not too much. Once again, the upgrade's doing a very good job here. Could have microed that one a little bit better. All in all, still a pretty good trade, I think. Especially if you play stuff like this. Well, honestly, from both sides, if you play Roaches or if you play Reaper opening into drops. Now, this was a bit of an annoying lag spike. Unfortunately for me, it was a lag spike on my end, so the game continued. Fortunately for me, I was already winning the fight, and Roaches don't really need to be microed that much, so there you go. What was I saying? Oh yeah, like both of our playstyles are technically momentum-based, right? Like the Reaper drops into Bio and the Roaches. But I'm playing with mass upgrades and he's playing normally. So I'm perfectly fine having my units get stronger because the 2-2 timing is going to be ridiculous. Whereas he kind of wants to do extra damage, so I thought that was okay. Now we're going to hit at 8 minute 10. After all that, we're going to have 2-2 Roaches. Now I do want to make sure that we don't fight before 2-2. Here I'm just going to get in here because there is no units. Probably could have taken this one a little more careful because 2-2 was about to finish. But here it is, guys. 2-2, these Marines are just not going to do damage. 2-2 Roaches are just disgusting. He has Marines, he has Marauders. Fortunately for him, he was very disjointed there. He does manage to save that tank, but yeah, like, the upgrades are just too crazy here. Like, the +2 attack means that tanks die very, very fast. I don't think it has an effect on the SUVs here, but the Marines, as you can see, they're just tickling the... Like, these Roaches are not taking damage from those couple of Marines on the high ground over there. Like, look at those Marines tickling the Roach. Look, it's just ridiculous. These Roaches don't die. Unfortunately for him, he had a Marine stuck on the supply depot, so he couldn't close it. My Roaches are just going to stream through, and that is going to be it for game number 1 with the Zerg upgrade rush. Now, just to go back here a little bit, look at the upgrades look so funny. Look at this Roach here. You can just see it getting tickled by the Marines. Like, it barely takes any damage. It takes so freaking long to die. Very satisfying game number 1. Let's go to game number 2. In game number 2, we rolled Terran and we're playing on Winter Madness. Now, TVT, definitely the hardest matchup to do the upgrade rushes in, I think. Probably talked about it a couple times before, but I'm going to do it again anyway. It is mostly because TVT is just a very aggressive matchup, okay? So you have to imagine, doesn't even matter whether you play Bio or Mech, I think. Bio probably the better of the two, but still. If you make 2 eBays at some point, really early, of course, because if you do it normally, it's no longer an upgrade rush, right? And that's not the point of this this challenge I'm doing. If you make them early, it's 2 engineering base plus the 2 upgrades. You really have to skip out on a lot of defenses. Alternatively, you can play a very uneconomic build order, right? But that, I mean, if you do that, you probably can't really afford your follow-up. You can't afford your 2-2 and stuff. So that doesn't sound very pleasant either. So it's going to be a very difficult matchup. Now, this game, my opponent went for the regular Reaper Expand here. I was already ready to deal with the 2-Rax Reaper that he did last game, or perhaps a double gas, but then I saw the SCV was on the low ground, so I decided to make my own CC on the low ground as well. Now, I decided to go for the mech upgrade rush this game, and not the, 1 armor, 2 armor Thor upgrade rush, no, a full-on double armory mech rush. Now, this is not a build that I've really managed to make work gloriously yet. I feel like a lot of the upgrade rushes, they work perfectly. I mean, you guys have seen me bask in the glory of upgrade rushes for a while now, right? Like, it's just all the time. It just works perfectly. I do bio, I do it fast, I do it a bit slower, I do triple for it. It just always works. But the mech upgrade rush has kind of been the exception to that rule. And honestly, it makes sense if you think about it, mostly because armories, first of all, you need the factory to make them. So you already have to spend a couple extra resources to get there, right? And then also, armories are the only buildings there that cost gas. Like evolution chambers, forges, engineering base all don't cost gas. So getting 2 armories in your build means you have to make a factory first as well, spend the gas on the armories. It has been incredibly hard to make a build feel good, okay? It has by far been the hardest upgrade rush, and it just completely makes sense when you think about it. There we go. I went for Hellions. Hellions going to keep me safe against early harassment units, which I thought he was going to build, right? Because he, well, first of all, you saw the Reaper Micro in the last game. Why would he not build those again, right? So that's what I was expecting. And I figured it would be a good way to keep myself safe while only using minerals. Now, I felt like here, this was a perfect moment for the build. Because if you look at my resources, you can see that soon I'm going to have 100 gas. And 100 gas is going to be enough for my 2 armories. For the people that don't know, at some point armories cost 100 gas, and now it's only 50. So you can afford those a little bit easier. But here we go. Still not as fast, of course, as double eBay or whatever, but extremely, extremely fast. Double armory at 340. It's honestly pretty freaking ridiculous, okay? Like, it might be even more ridiculous than, like, my 250 double eBay. Like, this is honestly kind of insane. Now, how are we going to be able to survive? This was the first scary thing we saw, and then the relief was brought instantly. First, I saw a starport without an add-on. That means most likely it's going to be a drop. Drop play is the biggest punisher of greedy stuff in TVT, whether it's battle cruisers, fast upgrades, even like double starport banshee. Like, you just don't want to run into freaking drops because it's so hard to deal with if you don't have the correct tools, your own cyclones, your own medevacs, your own Viking, stuff like that. So I wasn't happy. But then I did see a fast 3rd command center. So I guess it's kind of, the middle thing I could play against. Like, I'm not happy to see the most likely medevac. Liberator would, I guess, be a pretty okay-ish solution since we do have two ravens, but medevac would be tough. But the 3rd CC means that he can't have that many units behind it. So all in all, it's going to be okay. Now, 1-1 is already started. Obviously way faster than my opponent's upgrades, even if he is very likely playing bio, because bio is... I mean, it's honestly just better. It's not that deep, really, on bio. It's honestly just better than mech in probably every matchup, actually. I think in TVZ, mech is pretty good at lower levels for sure. At higher levels, I'm not a huge fan. Now here, that actually kind of surprised that that Cyclone killed my freaking Raven in time. Because I had the repair and I had 2 Vikings coming, but he managed to kill it in time and then get away. So that was not a great start, losing a Raven. But if he doesn't attack us viciously in the follow-up, which he probably won't, that's going to be okay. Now this was even crazier because this medevac survives on freaking 3 HP, which is just insane. And it seems like the plot armor for once is reversed. Normally, I am the biggest benefactor of the plot armor. This time, it seems to be Mr. Starlight over here. Now, the mech building up game has begun. I mean, you guys know what mech is about. You get an Omega army. That's disgusting. And since we're doing an upgrade rush, we're going to make it even more disgusting. But we do need some time to build up here for sure. So I made some adaptations here to my build. Normally, you kind of want to go for triple factory right away. maybe even 5 factories right away, right? Get a bunch of Hellions out. Here I thought it would be better if I switched the starport and the factory right away, which I did earlier, so I could go Viking tank. Because if I was playing, you know, Raven Hellion, even if I have the upgrades, it's just not really that strong of a composition. So I decided to go for pure Viking tank for a little bit, just so I could make the best use of actually my upgrades, you know, have a freaking strong army. But once again, by the way, excuse me, just like I said about the Zerg game, rushing armor with mech, very cool strategy, because tanks do a freaking crap ton of damage anyway. You just want to make sure that your tanks live as long as possible if your opponent's units get on top of the siege tanks, right? That makes sense. So armor rushing with mech, actually a very, very cool strategy. And that's what I've been trying to do as well. I think that the main strategy that I'm still working on for the mech upgrade rush, this build that I'm doing right here is amazing if you can get away with it, okay? I feel like if you play against an aggressive Terran that does a, you know, not a perfect build, of course, because, you know, that would be a small percentage of games, but just a build that's good enough at this, good enough at attacking, get some drops in the right place, you might definitely be in trouble. But if you're playing against someone that's passive, if you're playing on a map that's passive, this build could actually be pretty disgusting. Like, you're gonna have 2-2 and 3-3 mechs so fast. Like, even there, I'm pretty sure those Marines are not supposed to die, right? I feel like those Marines only died because it was +1 attack, which is freaking hilarious. So that's another strat you could do. You could actually rush +1 attack for Hellions, just so you need less Hellions to kill the Marines. That's another... I mean, to be honest, you could probably make Blue Flame, you know? That's why it's kind of silly, but it's actually a pretty cool interaction. Didn't really realize this. Now, the strategy I'm building towards in this game specifically is a classic strategy that I used to dominate. When I was the best European Terran, I had a build that, for some reason, the European Terrans couldn't stop. The Korean Terrans were better against it because they were more aggro. Back then, European Terrans still played a little more conservative. So what I did is I would go for 2-2. I would make 10 siege tanks. Then I would make a couple Thors. And I would just A-move them, literally. And the reason why that would work is because if you play mech against Bio, you have a couple more factories than they have, right? So most likely you're gonna have 10 tanks against about 5, okay? So you have a couple Hellbats in front of the tank. It's basically a 3-layer attacker. You have Hellbats in front of your tanks, so you can get in range a little safer. Then you siege your tanks in range of his, and because you have more, you can do that. And then you have a couple Thors against the Liberators and the Vikings. And it really made for just a brutal, brutal timing attack. It was so, so strong. Now, in this case, I'm gonna one-up that, and I'm gonna go for freaking 3-3, as you can see, because I already have 2-2. So basically the idea you want to do this, or the way you want to do this, is you just keep running by with Hellions, you get map control, you make enough Vikings so you don't die to your opponent's air control. Look at this, like he wants to fight here, but these are... They're 2-2 Hellions against what I would guess are 1-1 Marines, which is not an interaction you usually have. So these Hellions, they're actually killing so many Marines. I think they've already killed like 10 or something. It's kind of ridiculous here. Maybe even more. Maybe you guys want to go back and see. Look at this. He's still trying to kill me, but these Hellions are just so freaking strong. So much damage done. The extra armor helps so much. He's trying to micro his heart out here. This is what I said. He does remind me of me a little bit back in the day. And here I blocked my own command center with the tanks, which is suboptimal. But so far, so good. We're trading out our Hellions a bit as well, which is nice. We don't need that many. You do want to have at least a nice little front line when you go for the attack. In this case, I'm not even sure if I really need it, because I am going to have 3-3. And one thing to keep in mind as well, by the way, very big point here, is that if your opponent's playing Bio, in TVT, that means you're basically playing Marine, Tank, Viking, right? Marine, Marauder, Tank, Viking. But your opponent's still going to be getting upgrades for the Bio. So even though it's technically going to be 3-3 against 2-2, when it comes to the mech units, so my Vikings against his Vikings, my tanks against his tanks, it's very likely to be 3-3 against +1. Or in the Vikings case, 3 armor against 0 armor. Like, it's going to be, you know, it's super, super hard for him. In fact, I think the best... I was going to say point of action. That's not what I... What's the word I'm looking for? Not point of action, but something of action. Course of action, I guess that's what it is. Should probably be to base trade, because... Like, this is a 3-3 maxed mecha army, guys. I think he has 2-2 on the Marines. I think we just saw that. I'm pretty sure he's gonna have +0 on the Vikings. and maybe +1 attack on the siege tanks against my 3-3. Now, I could probably fight here already with the 2-2. Look how fast this unit dies. It's actually crazy. But I had to wait for my 3-3 here, guys. And now I'm going to show you guys the most satisfying thing ever. It's hard to attack into tank lines, but I have absolutely insane upgrades. As you can see, my Vikings are absolutely crushing his Vikings. My tanks are killing his bio and his tanks. My Thors are just walking through the tank fire. Look how many Vikings I still have alive. It's kind of crazy. And he actually made a lot of tanks too. He's doing things right. But with these upgrades, especially the landed Vikings with the attack upgrades, so freaking brutal. Actually, the Vikings don't have the attack upgrades. They just have the armor. Forget about that part. Forgot about that for a second. Absolutely beautiful. Tank lines are so hard to break. As you can see here, 0 against +3 armor for the Vikings. We just A-move through a massive tank line and win the first series of the day. The second series of the day is going to be against Skillis, a 6.8k MMR Protoss player. Top 20 player in the world, I believe, currently ranked number 8 in Europe. Incredibly strong Protoss player, and we're going to have to get him with the upgrade rush. Now, this is the matchup where it all started, right? If you guys don't remember the start, one of my viewers, Devination, sent me a replay of this build to use in Home Story Cup in one of my, crazy challenges where I played a big tournament using only viewer builds. That build ended up being my favorite. Made like 10 more videos on that build in different forums, of course. But this one is where it all started. And this map is also quite perfect for it, because it is a bit more of a sheltered map. I think Blink Stalkers are not as strong here. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad, it's still okay, but there are some maps where Blink Stalkers are just kind of disgusting, to be honest. Like your entire main base cliff will be a blink-in spot, and it's just very, very hard to deal with, right? This map not going to be as hard because there's a decent distance between that blink spot and walking back to your natural, so they can't go back and forth as easily. Now, his opening already looked a bit weird to me, but I couldn't quite pinpoint why. Looking at it now, it's because he took the second gas before the expansion. I could have blocked the base with my SCV, but my instinct was like, he doesn't have a Nexus, it could be a proxy or something, so I just wanted to check. Against this, blocking the base would have been insanely good, but I still think it's okay. I mean, I just played it safe, right? Obviously, I could have checked, but or could have blocked it, but it is what it is. So he went for a second gas before the Nexus. Now, okay, he's going to do a pretty crazy build this game as well. Kind of an old school, really cool strategy. That's something that I would do with my Protoss. I'm not going to say what it is yet. You guys will have to see. But now I know that it was probably planned from the start because of that gas. At the time, I didn't really think of anything. I was just like, maybe this map is just really short, and that's why his Nexus is late or something. But yeah, you guys will see. So, you guys know the drill. 250 double eBay. That is a standard way to do it. There you go. Remember the 340 armor from the last game? Now we are going to go for a 250 double eBay, and that's how you do the upgrade rush. Now, he might have sent his Adept across. I see an Adept still here. Could have been a second unit, though. I do want to sacrifice this Reaper. Well, I wouldn't really call it sacrifice. I just kind of want to get the scouting. I want to know if it's going to be a Twilight or indeed a Stargate. Stargate's making a Phoenix. Now, sadly, I did let him in, but I've been playing Age of Empires 2. I thought this was a really cool move, actually. So we go for some quick walls. Look at that. Okay. And now I let the SCVs repair each other. He tries to find the SCVs, but I cancel the wall. That was honestly some really cool micro I did there. I'm not quite sure if ever... I'm still going to lose one SCV, but obviously I could have lost 2 more there. So that was pretty freaking cool. Now, he did see my double engineering bay, and that is obviously a little bit of a disaster. It doesn't have to mean the game is over, of course, but... for the most part, you want your thing to be a surprise, right? Especially if you play something like double eBay. I haven't really had anyone blind counter it viciously in any way. They probably don't know how to, because it's such a strange build order. But you have to imagine that there is a way to blind counter it viciously, right? Now, keep in mind, guys, we saw a Stargate. I have to imagine that double eBay is probably the best against Stargate, because when you play Stargate... you play it for 2 reasons. First of all, you can harass your opponent's mineral lines the best, whether it's an Oracle or more likely with Phoenixes in PvT. Second of all, you get to defend stuff very easily, because if there's a medevac drop, you just kill it with Phoenixes, you find yourself ahead. I am just gonna sit back at home. I don't even have a third base, right? Because I'm playing double eBay instead. So it's not like I have that many exposed locations to attack. And at the same time, I'm not trying to harass him with anything. So this is honestly a pretty decent build order. If he didn't scout it, I would say this was fantastic. Now he scouted it, I think it's just fine. You know, I have no problem with it whatsoever. Now what is weird, guys, is that we haven't seen a Stargate unit yet, right? So at this point, what I was starting to think is that he probably added a Twilight Council, and he was just forgetting about the Stargate. You know, he wanted me to scout, or no, he didn't want me to scout it. But once I did scout it, he just switched over. Probably made a third Nexus. Honestly, he could even consider making a fourth one against double eBay, I want to say. Though that does sound a little more risky. I guess we will see. But this is when the truth was revealed. He decided to go for a Tempest Rush. Now, this build really is quite old school. It's not as old school as Wings of Liberty, because, I mean, the Tempest literally didn't exist, right? But I do remember... you guys, actually, it could be fun if you guys fact-check me on this one. What I thought was that I remember Classic doing this against Maru in a 2018 GSL Finals. Now, I don't remember whether he won or lost. I'm tempted to say that he lost, but that's the last time I remember seeing this strat. Obviously, some people did it against me after that because they copied the guy that's playing GSL, right? But yeah, to get back to the game, I thought we were in a massive amount of trouble because I mean, I can't break that many cannons and stuff. Now, keep in mind, guys, I do have insane upgrades, right? So if we ever do get on top of the Tempest, there might still be a little bit of possibility there. Now, I figured that I would just not be able to stop this at the front, so I'm gonna go for a drop in, well, not in the main base, but just drop out of my main base and try to surround or go to his base or whatever we can find. Like, Tempest, the most annoying thing is that they kill things for free forever, but they don't kill them that fast. Now, obviously, you don't want to be losing stuff over and over, but it's not like they kill them that fast. 2-2 is already on the way, and I thought this drop definitely had a little bit of potential. I wasn't entirely sure whether this drop was going to pop off. Obviously, for you guys, this game probably looks like it's completely lost already, having 8 Tempest, you know, right there. Well, I don't even have a natural, but I have upgrades, guys, and I believe in the power of upgrades. 2-2 is on the way. Now, this is going to be a very nice Tempest snipe over there. Look how fast it dies. Without +1, maybe it would have gotten away. Like, I don't even know. So he was already, yeah, he was preparing for the counter drop. That's really good foresight by him, by the way. But I was fast enough. I'm going to be able to target fire down those pylons. Now he went for the recall. And then let's see if we can maybe kill a Tempest over here. Probably going to kill one. I think I misfired something there. It looks like maybe I should have killed it. Once again, or not once again, I haven't mentioned this before, I think, but if you, this is just an important lesson for like everything you'll ever play. If you, well, what do they call this? I think they call this the sunk cost fallacy, right? Like, I could have stayed there because I was already there and I took some damage to my Marines, but it's better to just admit that it wasn't going to work and just back off. And now we managed to kill this entire setup over here. There's not going to be any more cannons in the front, no batteries, and that's very, very nice. Now, you could repower those. Keep in mind, guys, I don't know if I have it already. I might have 2-2 already. I'm not even 100% sure. But 2-2 is going to finish very fast. Now, he did get the anti-building upgrade. That's why the Tempest shots are orange when he shoots against the building. Now, look at the damage of these Marines, guys. They do such an... like, this is... what is this? 7 Marines against 5 Tempest? They do such an insane amount of damage. I'm pretty sure that the 2-2 finish, guys, to say the least. That is absolutely disgusting. Now, I got another drop going towards the main base. And let's see what we're gonna find here. Now, I saw a carrier here. Not very happy seeing a carrier, to be honest. And also, there was another carrier already ready. I was hoping that we would kind of have a free pass. Or maybe there would be Tempest here. But we have +2 attack and +2 armor. I would guess that he either has +0 attack or +1. But anyway, my Marines kill the interceptors so... look how fast that Tempest... it's insane, no? Look at the +2 attack of those Marines go ham. This is the first time you guys have ever seen Skytles die, probably. And, like, even in his main base, my Marines are killing the interceptors. My Marines are not taking that much damage from the interceptors because of the +2 armor. Now, he did get a third carrier finish, so we did have to dip. Now, at this point, the situation of the game is incredibly hard to tell. Once again, another Tempest that only dies because I have +2 attack, which is just beautiful. And, I mean, the only reasonable thing to do at this point is also start +3 attack, right? Right? Now, we are not out of the woods yet here, to be honest. He has a lot of buildings around my base. He still has a bunch of carriers. And carriers are... probably the most snowbally composition in the game. Like, if they get too many carriers, like, for example, he could be working on +2 attack right now. We don't know. Maybe he has it already, because he did start with the freaking Tempest Rush, right? He could technically have +2 attack already. There's no way he has 2-2. I want to say absolutely zero chance that he has the same amount of upgrades as me, so we're still going to kill his units fast. But if he has +2 attack, he's also going to kill my units fast, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Now, I saw the carriers on the minimap just now. It looks like it was 4 going towards my base. I'm once again just going to be targeting the pylons. Obviously, 2 upgrades are going to help with buildings as well. And now we are going to enter a full base trade. My reinforcements are not going to be able to kill the carriers, that's for sure. His probes try to escape, but my +2 marines absolutely mow them down. Now, it is 4 carriers. I'm going to be able to kill a decent amount of interceptors here for sure, but that is all that I can really do. I could try to escape, but it would be very scary. Like, I could potentially lose a full medevac or something like that. Now, we snipe another carrier over here, but these carriers are going to be a bit of a problem. What I decided to do was just to go for the next side and kind of ensure that we can win eventually, right? Like, I'm making turrets in my natural. Hopefully he doesn't see those too soon. I'm still building marines. Now my marines are coming back. He could potentially have had another nexus somewhere, so I'm checking around. I'm just going to try to finish this turret. Turret going to be very useful here, because keep in mind, so he doesn't have a nexus. You can see the message in chat now, doesn't have a nexus left. Interceptors cost money, okay? I don't know how many minerals he has, but at some point he's going to run out. So even killing a couple interceptors here, damaging that carrier, that's all very, very nice stuff. Now, I got my marines here. I decided to go right away, just because we killed a lot of interceptors already. Now, here we hold position to make sure the target fire down those interceptors. And now, since he's backing off, that actually tells us that he has money left. Because if he didn't have money left, he would try to fight with, you know, my stim already being used or whatever. But since he's going back, it very likely means he has money to replenish his interceptors. I would guess just once, honestly. I feel like there's no way, with the amount of damage we done earlier, that he can replenish them more than once. So we're going to go over here. We hold position the marines because it's the safest way to go about this. +2 armor really, really helping out there. The interceptor count is thinning very, very hard. There are no interceptors left. We're going to target the carriers, and after a very epic game, we beat the rank 8 European with the upgrade rush. Game 2 was not quite as spectacular as the first one. I could make you guys watch all of it, but really all that happened was I tried to go for my mech upgrade rush. He blind countered me viciously by playing a super greedy build, like insanely greedy, which I couldn't punish because I was playing both mech and an upgrade rush. Then he clicked a bunch of zealots in my mineral lines and I died. The score is now 1-1. So for game number 3, I decided to just go back to not the same build, but the same bio upgrade rush as game number 1. So first I was thinking I could do the exact same build, but based on how he had been playing so far, I honestly felt like he was really greedy, both in game number 1 and game number 2, actually. Game number 1 was also a fast second gas. I don't think he made batteries. I think he might not even have probe scouted as well. So I decided to go for a double gas here. Now, I wasn't entirely convinced by my plan yet, just because I didn't know whether I could actually do a decent upgrade rush build from double gas, but I mean, it was worth a shot, honestly, based on how good bio upgrade rushes have been in like every form and capacity. I felt like this should probably be okay. Now, he didn't actually check for my double gas here, so I decided to send out the SCV scout. The reasoning behind that was that if I would have just gone back inside, he would have realized it was double gas right away. If I send the SCV across, I think he wouldn't realize it instantly. Now he still realized it pretty fast, of course, but I thought it was worth playing that mind game anyway. So basically the plan was to go for 5 units to punish him for being greedy. So that's 3 Reapers, 2 Hellions, and then go into the upgrade rush. And I'm not gonna lie, I was really hoping to do this against another no scout by him. So I did lose the mind game there, but still, doesn't have to mean that the build is now useless or anything. I'm still gonna have a couple units I can pressure. He might be scared. And perhaps most importantly, keep in mind, he might not realize that I'm going to be going for an upgrade rush again, right? Like, I know a lot of players, they realize that I'm doing some kind of challenge. But so far, I played a bio upgrade rush. Then I played a terrible mech game, which I saved your guys' eyes from. And now I'm playing a double gas 5 unit opener. So he might not connect the dots that it's all an upgrade rush video that I'm doing, right? After all, I did win in game number 1. I do have to say, guys, I was kind of impressed looking back. Like, game 1 was kind of a nasty outplay, no? Like, catching all those tempers and stuff. Holy moly. Here, initially I was happy because I saw no battery. And then I was a little sad because there was indeed a battery. If they have a battery, you probably can't do too much damage with your 5 units, if anything at all. So you're going to have to be a little bit more careful there. Now, I'm still really going to be able to make my E-base at a decent time, by the way. Instead of 250. It was just after 3 minutes, so that was really not bad. Actually feels pretty good still. Maybe this is just as nice. I mean, the realistic difference with double gas and playing Reaper Expand is that you're just missing like 4 SCVs or something. So the eco is definitely worse. But if the timing still work out, it could actually be worth doing this version instead. So it is what it is. Now let's see if we can find some damage with these Reaper Heli. And has a sentry at the front. If he wouldn't have responded instantly, he probably would have lost that sentry actually. That would have been very nice. Now we killed 1 SCV right away, which is great. And I'm going to go in here once again, try to kill another probe. We don't manage to get that one. But we did bait out the energy recharge there, and he all army hotkeyed his scouting phoenix back. So all in all, that was actually legit pretty good damage. Caused a little bit of panic, killed the probe, forced the waste of an energy recharge, stopped him from scouting us. Actually, very, very nice. Now I'm gonna go back to repair my Hellions and then see if we can do something with the Reapers. The main reason why playing 5 units can be a little questionable is because there's a lot of people that play blind double battery. And in that scenario, I mean, it's not like it's entirely bad, but then it does feel a little wasteful to make 5 units. I would say you guys can't possibly be aware of that beforehand, really. Unless maybe you are on the ladder if you play the same guys a lot. If you play against someone who you know goes for double battery, I think you can actually just fake the 5 units. Like, you can go double gas, and you can probably just play 1 Reaper reactor, maybe make 1 Hellion, and if that causes them to make double battery, that's pretty good for you, actually. So maybe that's a decent way to go about it. Now, here I saw something scary. I saw a War Prism, and this Prism is way too late for a 4-gate blink, so I figured it was gonna be DTs. And, well, DTs are, I mean, instinctively you would think you counter them with detection, right? But you also just need a good amount of units to defeat it. Like, DTs one-shot Marines before... Actually, they don't, because I have +1 armor, I think. Wait! Guys! Does this build automatically counter DTs? They don't one-shot SCVs either, by the way, with the 1 armor. I think the 1 armor hits just too late. But keep in mind, it would have been 15 seconds faster with the normal version. Holy cow! I just realized, I've never had this situation before. But if you get +1 armor, your Marines and your SCVs don't get one-shot by the DTs. Hey, that is actually crazy. This could be an ultimate blind counter. Now here I saw something that scared me, because it was charge and it was not DTs. Now he's canceling combat shields here and not stim, so that is not that bad. But I was really hoping that it would be DTs, because if it's charge slots, that means he could be setting himself up for a big timing attack. And that is not going to be pleasant when you're playing double upgrades. Now I could do a better job of scouting at this moment for sure. Then I would probably have an idea how many probes he has on his 3rd base and stuff. But I was honestly just very scared of like 4 zealots plus another 8 zealots warped into my main base, you know? So this was a tough situation here for sure. Now I do have my 2-2 on the way already. I was pretty much preparing to just play Bio Widowmine over here, which would be a pretty good composition, especially being up in upgrades, of course. I'm going to send these Reapers across, try to get a little bit of damage on his 3rd base, make a couple of medevacs, and then we're going to go for the standard timing attack that I like to do, which is 2 medevacs into the main base all the way around, and then the rest of the army at the front. Now here, I think that battery might... I don't know if I heard that, but it sounded like the battery just finished, and that's pretty annoying, because maybe we would have been able to get some damage done, but it is what it is. I still have a couple of Hellions over here. I'm going to use those to scout. As you can see, 2-2 is nicely on the way. Barracks 4 and 5 are on the way. And then I saw a Gargantuan army in front of my base. This is 100% an all-in by him. I'm targeting the Templars with my tank, which is a very good thing to do. As you can see, they're taking a lot of damage, but I don't have medevacs here yet. He is storming the crap out of his own zealots. These Reapers actually managed to kill a couple Templars, I believe, from the back there, but with that warp in, his all-in is going to succeed, and we are going to lose game number 3. Now, luckily for us, there is a loser bracket, so we're not down and out yet, and I can confirm you guys that these games are going to be hella fun, so get ready. The first series of the loser bracket is going to be against the Hacker is Top, one of the very few Grandmaster random players. So I decided to join him and also play random. So we're playing random versus random, and the fun part is that we're playing on Mothership, which is the only 3-player map as well. So this is as random as a game of StarCraft 2 is going to get. Besides the fact that obviously I'm still going to be doing an upgrade rush. So I got Protoss here. Protoss, I think, very nice for upgrade rushes. Besides if you play PvP. I mean, I've made it happen in PvP for sure, of course. At this point, I'm pretty sure we've done it in every single matchup, but it's still not my preferred choice, right? PvT or PvZ. PvZ is actually very... How would you call this? It's very dependent on what your opponent does, you know? I feel like if they do certain attacks, you will just die with double forge. If they do a build that you're good against, you can absolutely crush them like ants. So I think PvT, probably my most favorite, followed by PvZ, followed by PvP. Now, I am a little sad about that last game that we lost against Skillis, because to be honest, if I realized he was going to attack a little bit faster and added 2 more bunkers, I think with the upgrades on the Marines, we actually would have been able to hold. And then I would have been pretty confident we would have won the game. Like, I was feeling pretty fast on this day. And so, yeah, I mean, we lost. To some of you, it may have looked one-sided, but I really feel like one decision to make extra bunkers, and we are very likely to win that game. Or, well, very likely, I would say at least 60%, right? If he commits in and loses his units, then we have a bigger chance, but obviously he can also make decisions, right? And move back when it doesn't look that good. But it is what it is. We are now in the loser bracket. Once again, also completely stacked with pro gamers. And we are going to have to find our way out. Now, our opponent is actually Terran, so that is very nice to see. I feel like a double forge really going to be quite nice for this PvT. Wasn't sure exactly how I wanted to do this yet. I mean, PvT is always a little scary in like the first 5 minutes. I feel like after that, Protoss tends to have control of the game. But the first 5 minutes before you get... I mean, I'm not even going to make Blink because I'm going to spend my gas on upgrades. But, you know, typically speaking, before you get Blink, Terran gets to do a couple of annoying builds like Hellion drops or tank timing attacks or stuff like that, you know. So that could be a little bit tricky. Now, since we're both random, he decided to go for the Reaper Expand, which is the most reasonable choice, to be honest. Now, I don't think he's going to be able to scout my tech, at least if my Adept is microed properly, he should die. I think maybe he could have escaped with that, because I didn't actually micro it properly, but he decided to go back, so that is nice for me. Now, to be honest, I was not gonna show my tech anyway. Like, the Twilight is the most standard thing you can build, but what my build is really about is the incoming double forge, right? And that I was never going to show him, so not really going to make that much of a difference, but it would have been more annoying for sure if the Reaper was still alive, so that is a nice start for me. This is also a pretty good map for Reapers, by the way, because you guys might not have noticed. In fact, I didn't notice for a long time. But your natural actually has a Reaper jump-in spot, so he could have gone from the top side of my natural. And without a battery, that could have been pretty freaking annoying, right? And obviously, since I want to make double forge really fast, I don't really want to spend my money on a battery. In fact, I can't even really afford my double forge right now. Now, since I killed the Reaper, I am going to go forward with these Adepts. Just be a little bit annoying. This is a very classic PvT maneuver. You shade to the back of the natural mineral line, because there's no bunker there, right? The bunker is at the front. You get to do a little bit of damage, mostly deny mining time. If you're lucky, you can kill an SCV or two, which is what happened here, so that's very nice. And then you're gonna have to leave at the right time. That is pretty much how it goes. But yeah, this is a very nice start for me so far. Killed the Reaper, and we got 2 SCVs and a good amount of mining timer, so that is great. Now, I do have to make another gateway, because otherwise we're probably gonna get owned by an attack at some point. We kill another SCV, might even get another Marine, looks like we don't, so we killed 3 SCVs and a Marine and got a lot of mining time, and we're still getting our 4-minute chrono boosted upgrades. Now, I'm not quite sure what to do at this point, because against some things you need detection, against some things you need a lot of units, but I also don't want to make units blindly. Like, you kind of want to go for a 3rd base, right? And even a 4th base pretty soon in PvT these days. And a 5th. And a 6th and 7th. So actually, if you guys haven't seen like the PvT meta these days, it's honestly crazy. Like, I feel like the average game you see is Protoss on 8 base versus Terran on 3 or 4. Like, it's pretty disgusting. I can't lie. It's pretty freaking disgusting, okay? So that's pretty much what we're gonna go for here. Now, I didn't see his unit, so I decided to be a little psycho. That tank actually killed its own SCV, which is pretty funny. Gonna kill another SCV over here, so I think we already killed 5, which is very, very nice. Didn't kill them all at the start, so it's not the maximum damage, right? Like, the later you kill the workers, the less meaningful it is, because they'll already have rebuilt them, but still, really, really good start. And that's gonna help us get away with the double forge. And also, when we shaded in, I believe we saw a Liberator move to the main, so that allowed me to position my 2 Stalkers over here, which is nice. And we are heading towards going for 6-gate, double upgraded Zealots. Looks like he miskicked the Liberator there for a second, so that's nice. It's really not gonna die, I believe, because Liberators are pretty tanky. But that is obviously also nice for me. So far, a very nice game in like every single way, I think. Like, I'm not even 100% sure if my build is that good, but I feel like everything went our way so far. got my favorite matchup, right? Like, we lucked out on the freaking matchup draw. We killed the Reaper, the Adepts got in. Like, it's actually been an insane game. This is the game of plot armor, you know? Well, it's not really plot armor, because obviously I'm playing well here, but you guys know what I mean. Now, my third base is slowly going to start being saturated. Mineral line is already almost saturated. Obviously, with this build, you don't need much gas, right? 2 forges. If you guys have watched the triple forge episodes, you would know that you can afford triple forge literally on 2 gases only. As long as you're mostly making zealots, right? But that's pretty much what's happening here. Now, I actually took a page out of Skillis' book. This is something he did in the mech game that you guys didn't see. Is instead of making detection, he actually just made cannons in the mineral lines and then only made a robo if he had to. And I kind of like that idea, actually. Especially because I don't have that many stalkers. I don't have blink yet, right? So I think making cannons and mineral lines is a good idea. Chrono boosting upgrades in the meantime. And then I'm actually using my zealots to scout. And here, I imagine that was an 8 marine drop. The cannon actually helped a lot already because it literally forced him to back off, which was really, really nice. So shout out to Skillis. Not quite sure if I called him Nikita earlier. That's his real name. But shout out to him anyway for the cannon idea. That's fantastic. Now, this is something that I never see other Protoss players do, and there's probably a good reason for that. Because it's pretty dumb. But I like to use my zealots to scout with. Because first of all, it feels very threatening to have 1 million zealots in front of your base. It means you can't move out without paying really, really strong attention to your army, right? Like, you really have to babysit your army. But I'm not really planning to fight. I'm just using them because they're fast, so I can see what my opponent's upgrades are, what his army count is like, stuff like that, you know? So I think it's actually pretty nice. And then now I'm making use of the opportunity, since I have my units here anyway, to spread some zealots around the base, so I can see drops coming. And we're going to go up to 10 gateways. Tutu is about to be finished. I think at this point, he's going to be... Maybe his +1 attack is just finishing or something like that, you know? Like, it's pretty brutal. Yeah, he's 0-0. He has 0-0, and I have 2-2. Let me tell you that, guys. If you have 0-0 against 2-2 zealots, you're not going to be happy, okay? You are really not going to be happy. It's going to be pretty disgusting, in fact. Now, this is a very important way of dealing with Terran Bio. And this is, I think, even the #1 way to play against Terran Bio. If you get pushed, this is particularly like attacks, right? Because later on it's not as important, but even later on, this is pretty much the essence. You always force the Terran to stim. I don't know exactly how many units there are there. Let's say it's 20 Marines and 10 Marauders. That means that every stim is 400 damage to his own army, okay? The Medivacs run out of energy slowly. 400 damage to his own army. There you go. That's another stim. So really, you just want to go in again and again and again and just make him stim every time. Even if you lose, let's say you lose 3 Zealots for it every time, it's still a good idea. Here, he didn't stim, so I'm going to go again until he stims. There you go. He stims and I back off. Like, stims just do so much damage to the Terran army, and this is the entire basis of late-game TVP. I know this is not late-game. Oh, he was actually trying one of my maneuvers, which is to use the SCVs to wall off, which is great. Now, he's really struggling here because his units are getting low HP. Look at this. They're all orange HP just because of the stims, right? And he's running out of SCVs. He wants to make something happen. If you don't stim, your army sucks, so you have to keep stimming. And every time he stims, we're just going to back off. At this point, a lot of his units are even red or orange HP. And now I decided to call it because his units were low enough HP, he would have to stim again. And we are going to simply clean this up with Mass Zealot. 3-3 is not on the way. I tried to chrono boost it before the game ended, but obviously that's not going to finish in time. And we win our first game in the loser bracket. Our fourth opponent of the day is going to be Iba. Iba is, I believe, still to this day, the youngest Grandmaster ever. I think he got GM at like 12 years old or something like that. Don't feel bad, my older homies. It's all good, okay? Some kids are just born at the right time, okay? Don't beat yourself up for being 37 and gold or whatever. It's all good. You're also a valuable StarCraft 2 player, okay? But anyway, he is a Zerg player, above 6,000 MMR, but he also plays a lot of Protoss and off-race in general. So in the loading screen, or in the lobby rather, he also picked random. I was about to play Terran, because I was like, I think if he plays Zerg, I'd probably rather do the... I really wanted to do the super cool TVZ upgrade rush, where I got 3-3 at 10 minutes. That was a really, really nice one from my big upgrade rush video the other day. But he picked random, so I picked random as well to match him, and we are going to be playing PvT again. Now, we're playing on Celestial Enclave, which is, in my opinion, a very good map for Protoss, but not necessarily for what I'm doing. Because the reason I think this map is good for Protoss is because it has an honestly disgusting blinking spot, because you have a small in-base natural, right? The one that my probe was just at in his base. And you would think, okay, you can just take the base there and keep it safe that way. But you can't really because it's a weak natural with only 5 mineral patches and 1 gas. So if you take that base, you just don't have enough money. So basically what it turns into is just a free landing zone for Protoss to blink in and warp in, right? But I am not going to get Blink. I'm going to get double forge upgrades and a lot of Zealots, pretty much similar to the last game. I felt like the strat legit looked really strong in the last game as well, right? Like, it looked incredibly powerful. Now, I just saw his SCV leave, so I figured it might be like some kind of proxy Hellion drop. And then I figured I'd distract his Marine and just leave with the probe later via the mineral path. And then I realized that's where the SCV went. He blocked it off, and that means that I'm going to lose my probe. And it also means he's most likely not proxying. Now, we haven't seen a Reaper, so I imagine that Marine was probably the first unit out of that barracks then. So that's going to make it a little more chill to go across with my units over here. Besides this, the build is all going to look exactly the same. I did wall off at the front on this map because I thought if he was Zerg, I would really need it. I think if he was Zerg and I wouldn't have that wall off, we would be absolutely screwed. Now, this I thought was risky by him, but he actually barely manages to finish that command center, so it was worth it in the end, so he can make it an orbital. But that could have been a bit of a disaster, but that's okay. Now, I haven't seen another unit, so I was starting to get suspicious, and indeed, he went for a fast factory with a tech lab, so he didn't need to go for a Cyclone. I was considering recalling my Adept there, but then I decided that it wasn't worth it in the end. Instead, I'm just going to do a lot of damage to the Cyclone with my Stalker. Maybe I can catch it later. I have to be careful to not lose that Stalker in a dumb way, of course, so pulling it back momentarily. Now, double forge is on the way, charges on the way. I think I made 1 less Adept this time and 1 more Stalker. I thought that would be a good way to go about it because Stalkers are just going to be a bit better at defending my base. Like last game, I think I made 4 Stalkers in total or something like that. And they did a really good job of just keeping my main base safe and stuff from drops. Now, I was starting to feel a little bit suspicious. Going for a fast Cyclone like that could potentially lead into some kind of medevac harass at the front. Could also be in the main base, but I thought the frontal push would be the potential scariest thing. Because, I mean, think about it this way. If they drop it to the main, they can only have so many units, just as much as the medevac can handle, right? But if they go at the front, they could have, for example, 8 Marines in the medevac and 2 Cyclones by ground, and that's a pretty big army. So I decided to make a battery over there, and I was gonna go for this base in the back. Now, this really is not my first choice of base for my third, but I just thought it would be a little bit too risky to take a base on the outside in this case. I didn't really know what was going on. That's also why I built a sentry over here. Like, I just wasn't sure what was going to happen, so I decided to just go for a simple scout, take the third base inside, and keep it a little bit simple this way. Obviously, double upgrades are on the way. And this is when I realized what his build was. His build was Cyclone into very fast 3 racks. Probably only 1 Cyclone by the looks of it. So he already has a pretty sizable bio army. And then he's gonna most likely go for a drop or big attack at the front. Both are potential options with this strategy. Now, mostly the scary part is that he has a big army fast. And normally, Terrans don't really have that because Terran tends to play 1-1-1, 1 barracks, factory, starport, and then go into 3 racks, so they have a good economy, they have some harassment stuff, and then they get into army later. With this build, you pretty much go into army right away, so I need to make sure that my zealot count is high enough. Now, I sent a probe out here, you might have noticed that. I figured, since it would be so scary to take a base on the outside against this build, because then I have to deal with drops in my third base natural thingy, right? Like this pocket base over here, and a exposed base at the front. So I decided to combine the hidden base with the upgrade rush, which is the first time I've ever done that, I think. Though I really don't want to say that for sure, because I've done a lot of crazy stuff over the years, so it wouldn't surprise me if we had done this. Now, there's a scan over here. I decided to move out to see if I could maybe catch him. I'm going to send another hallucinated Phoenix. Now, at this point, 1-1 did finish, so even if he does attack me, it's going to be a lot stronger. For a second, I was afraid that he would have been breaking the rocks over there, but I don't see anything yet. So we can just happily keep chrono boosting our forages. Now, we did see him move out over here, and there we go. The drop is in the natural. Should have enough to deal with this anyway, because we do have zealots, which are fast, and they have 1-1 upgrade, so it should be okay. But it was indeed a pretty good drop by him. Now, send this probe to trigger the Widow Mine, and it actually... I didn't even realize it paid off in the end. I just remember doing it. That's quite nice, trying to counter the medevacs, but we can't kill them, but that's okay. In the end, we lost a couple probes, maybe like 4 or so, but really not too bad. Especially considering we have, you know, insane upgrades on our side already. He was going to try to stim in here, but I sent my zealots back, and I think this split of the units is pretty nice as well. I decided to just keep the stalkers in the natural. If stalkers don't have blink, by the way, pro tip, well, I wouldn't call it a pro tip because it's very dangerous, but it's something you can do, is you can drop on top of them. But what I figured here is if he does, I would at least kill some of the medevacs and take some of the pressure off. Now here, I was just planning to do the same thing with my Zealots, kind of get some scouting, but then I saw him move out with the medevacs, so I figured I would probably just be able to run in. Once again, 1-1 Zealots are going to be very hard to clean up. This, oh, actually, I just realized, you guys might have seen that instantly. I targeted the rocks by accident. Those little rocks below the ramp, I killed those by accident first. So that, I mean, it cost me a little bit of damage. That was still really good for us in the end, by the way. He's trying to drop on top of Zealots, which is something you can only do if you're not a Terran main. Every Terran main here understands. You don't want to be anywhere near them, okay? You don't even want to be touching the aura of a Zealot. Like, they destroy your stuff so fast, it's brutal. Decided to just attack the rocks in his natural. I figured it might open up a little bit of a path. He goes for a scan, which I actually think is a pretty nice scan, because he wanted to know if my main army was there or not. Judging by the fact that I don't see his army, he could have moved across to drop me. I think that is very likely what he did actually do. That's why I pulled my sentry back a little bit. Here we are again. He dropped a couple mules. There we're going to go to attack. Also, another thing you really want to do when you're playing Upgrade Rush like this is you want to just force him to react at home all the time because you're getting upgrades in the meantime. Once again, guys, 3-3 is already on the way. Like, he might have... Like, this was not theoretically a good fight for me, but it's just 2-2 Zealots against most likely +1 attack. Could be 0-0 as well, but I think most likely +1 attack. The Zealots just don't die. And this build is honestly so disgusting. We just wiped 2 Grandmaster Terrans off the map with the mass Zealot upgrade rush. Opponent number 5 is going to be Shameless. And Shameless, probably, I would guess a lot of you are not as familiar with him, but he is an incredibly strong Protoss player. In recent times, I have seen him beat the world's best players in every single matchup. I've seen him beat Classic, Pure, Rogue, Solar, like there's just so many of them. And I knew this was going to be a tough one. Having said that, I do feel like I beat him with my stupid builds a lot of the time. So, you know, it's not often that I stream these days, but when I do, I feel like I get it with some of my stupid builds. So I felt like there was a decent chance here. Also, remember to game number 1 against Skillish. A little bit of a reminder there. That was played on the same map. And that was the map where it looked the best. Now, obviously, that game was incredibly chaotic. Shameless is more of a standard macro kind of guy compared to Skillish for sure. Skillish is a little more on the creative side. Shameless is a bit more on the solid macro side. Now, I decided to go for the bio upgrade rush, the one that was successful. None of the double gas stuff. Just the good old build as we know it. Okay? Also have that build on Patreon, by the way. The build I used to annihilate Skillish. And potentially annihilate Shameless here. So, just saying, guys, check it out. And that's what we're going to do here. So, Reaper Expand. Going to go for the Marine after. Oh, by the way, I thought of something earlier. So, I don't know if you guys noticed, but he scouted instantly. His scout was almost fast enough to block my barracks, right? That's a pretty annoying thing to run into as a Terran, because they can just harass your SCV forever. If you're a Terran, you probably have dealt with that before, and it's very annoying. So what I was thinking is, because it is a bit of an investment to send it out so early, right? I think the best play might actually be to just build the barracks next to your mineral line when you see it super, super early. There he almost managed to block my Reaper, but he barely didn't. So we're going to start the game off with a probe kill, which is fantastic. And this is only when they scout super early, right? So if your barracks are already down, please do not cancel it and build it next to your freaking minerals. But if the depot sees the probe is coming before your barracks is even down, I think the best way to go about it is actually build it next to your command center, so you don't have to pull workers so far away from your mineral line all the time. You can just have one next to it. And then, I mean, you can even fly it back over, but I feel like that might be the best way to actually negate that damage. Just a little bit of theory, a little bit of something that I thought of. Now he's going to scout with an hallucinated Phoenix, which is unfortunate, because, once again, I would prefer this not to be scouted. So that is not the best thing to play against. So far, he has not seen the engineering base, though, guys. Look at that Phoenix. In fact, this probably looks very confusing to him. He's like, where's the starport? You know, where's the second barracks? Like, this could actually be a fantastic mind game. Somehow, he went for the fast Phoenix, but did not see my engineering base, which is pretty nasty. He's not going to be happy with that one, that is for sure. Now, I'm going to scout his base, just to know what version of this I should go for. Now, sentries are good enough to beat a Reaper one-on-one, but they don't kill a Reaper fast, so we managed to snag another probe here, and we're gonna get out. Now, I was considering making a tank, but then I changed my mind and just went for the add-ons anyway. That's what I meant with the version, by the way. Also, a Stalker did catch my Reaper, so that was well done by him for sure. Did not allow that Reaper to live. Could have been very annoying for him to have a 2-kill Reaper just wandering around. It just doesn't feel good mentally, you know? So that was a nice catch for him. Now, I could still make one tank here. It's, when you play this build, guys, it's really up to you. Like, you can play the tankless version, but it's important to know that you probably will die to a committed Blinkstalker attack. Now, there's two things here. That Phoenix still hasn't seen the engineering base, guys. That is so insane. He probably still... Either he's just completely misreading my build, or he thinks there's a proxy starport on the map or whatever, but he still has not seen those engineering base, which is just insane. He's probably going to see the engineering base for the first time when he sees I have 1-1. He's like, oh, that's what he's doing. It's basically, I'm playing this... Or this game is being played as if I proxied the E-base, because he can't see them. But I didn't have to send 2 SCVs to the corner of the map and put my E-base in danger for it, you know? So this is quite ideal. Oh yeah, what I was saying is you will very likely die to any Blinkstalker aggression if you don't make a tank. The build is better without a tank, but if you would have to pick a general version, I think making one tank is okay. And the way you manage that, gas-wise, is that you just don't start the combat shields and the starport before the 2-2. So in the first game against Skillish, the game I won, I believe I did start combat shield and the starport. Here I made a tank, and then I didn't. I'm not sure if there's something else I changed in the builder. That should be about it. Now, as you can see, the builder is developing as normal. This is exactly the way I like it. It's, you know, we don't have to move out. We don't have any pressure at all. Normally, as Terran in PvP, you can feel very pressured because it's like there's an observer over there being annoying. Because you kind of have to do some damage to Protoss before they get to the aforementioned 8-base versus 3-base setup, right? But since I have the good upgrades... I really don't have to do that much, because any interaction that I take... this is, by the way, just if you guys are curious why the hell I'm zooming in with my camera, that's the easiest way to see invisible units. So if you want to find an observer around your base, you just kind of zoom in at locations where you think it might be. It's the easiest way to find it. Especially if it's like on like rocks and stuff like that, you know, it's just a nice way to go about it. But yeah, any drop that I do, or especially if I max out, my army is just going to be so much stronger because of the upgrades. So right now, we've gotten away with it already. We have a nice wall off at the front. We have one tank keeping us safe, and that feels very nice. I'm still frantically looking for the observer. Now I see one over there. Somehow that turrets are so good, actually. So I don't know how that turret even killed that, but it did. And now the fun is going to begin, guys. The double drop. This is where it all starts. Like always, send it all the way around the map, and then you move out at the front at the same time, and you are going to hit roughly with 2-2, and your army is just going to be so unreasonably strong. Now, I did a scan there, kind of to check what kind of splash damage it was. I was pretty sure it was going to be Colossi already, but I still didn't really want to run into Templars by accident. Now I'm going to use my marine position to shoot that observer into the turret. He probably didn't realize, because he pulled it to the side once he realized, but he didn't realize why I was shooting it from that angle. That was quite nice. Now, this is the way you want to execute this as well. You kind of stim your main army forward, so he pays attention to it. He has to blink away, and then the drop hits at the same time. Now, we see his 4th base has started in the bottom left side, but I don't care about the 4th base right now. I care about destroying a bunch of innocent probes. Now, he did the warp in instantly, but he is not expecting these units to have 2-2. Look at his probes, they're already gone. He did not expect those units to have 2-2 already, guys. They're just so absurdly strong. I have a smile on my face. You guys can probably hear that, but it's so delicious. Every single time, the units are so strong. It's just so beautiful. Even this trade, this would look horribly normally, but I'm actually managing to pick off a good amount of zealots, and he might even back off because he's, yeah, like, even this small squad of units is so freaking dangerous. We're already up at 137 supply with 2-2. I don't believe we have started 3-3 yet at this point, but it should come in pretty shortly. Exactly. I just looked at my engineering base to make sure. You can technically win the game with 2-2 as well, but I feel like very often... Oh, he's hallucinated Phoenix Scout in my drop there. That's annoying. Very often, Protoss players... Like, it's just hard to kill them, you know? Because they have Warpint and another Colossus comes out when you don't have enough Vikings. It's not impossible to, like, get ahead, to get some good trades, but finishing the game is very, very difficult. And then if you don't finish the game, what's going to happen is at some point they catch up on the upgrades, and then you get the point, right? So if you start 3-3, you kind of prevent that from happening for another couple minutes, because you actually kept developing your upgrades, which is pretty much how you want to do it. Now, he did have an observer over there, so he is going to be cleaning up those mines. I'm going to be doing exactly what I want to do with this strategy. Now, sadly for me, he did have a pylon over here. In general, he's been annoying with the vision. Like, I wanted to drop his base for like a minute and a half already, right? Like, first they hallucinated the Phoenix, now the freaking pylons. So what I decided to do was to fake going... This is a really nice setup, by the way. Look at this. I fake going back. Then I use these units to clear out the pylons. Then I siege the tank in... This is actually a beautiful sequence. I siege the tank in range of his new base. Then this third base, they would never expect it because it's weird. I like to make it a planetary. This is, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, this is a low league move, okay? You will not see pros make their third base into a planetary, ever. But I think since I just want to be out on the map and drop everywhere and not give them time, I actually think it's pretty decent because it's just an entire base. You don't have to worry about the Zealot run-bys. If there were Zealots in my third base right now too, can you imagine? Like, that would be so freaking hard to deal with. Anyway, here is the 5 medevac drop. I have 2-2. I want to guess against 1-1 right now, or maybe even just +1. I'm not quite sure. So these units, even though there's a Colossus there, there's a Zealot Warp in there, these units are doing absolutely amazingly. He can't mine from his 5th base when it finishes because a tank is ready there to shell it. He lost all the pros at his 4th base. This Nexus is gonna die. That Colossus is doing some amazing tickle damage on that one Marauder. And even through all that, killing the Nexus, killing the Zealot Warpin, the Colossus is still gonna die. Now I'm killing pros at his 3rd base as well, and I'm going absolutely ham. And these upgraded units just feel like an absolute cheat code right now. I don't think he lost every single worker there, but he lost quite a lot. And once again, guys, he's losing a lot of workers. He wants to be chrono boosting Nexi. All of them, right? All 4 of them, because I killed one of them. But he still can't make use of that new base. Now, this base, all these workers are gonna die as well. I'm gonna lose the units for it, but he loses every single worker over there. Those Zealots had a tough time. And there you could see it, right? He was sad. You could see the tank shoot if you were paying close attention there. The tank was shooting the workers. The Widow Mines are even there denying the workers. I even forgot I burrowed. I did so many things at once there. That was kind of crazy. That was some prime uThermal stuff, wasn't it? Holy cow, you guys see that? I'm pretty sure I attacked at like 4 or 5 different locations at once there. That was kind of crazy. I'm gonna attack over here. I started building Vikings. Not exactly what I want to do usually, to be honest, because when you have the... Like, the Vikings don't have the 3-3, right? So I kind of would prefer just making bio, but if there's too many Colossus, you kind of just need them. Now I send a little squad over there to make sure to just fully kill that base off. Now these Marauders can actually stand and fight because 3-3 has finished. I'm still not sure what his upgrades are, but I think it's probably 3-3 against 1-1 or something. At this, look how fast that Disruptor dies, and it's gone. Like, the upgrades are so ridiculous here. I can even land these Vikings well if I want. That Disruptor is gonna fall. Now these low HP Marauders are still gonna be able to take down a Colossus, probably not the other one. I'm gonna land the Vikings here. And we have honestly wiped Shameless off the map. And this is just such a good example of why the upgrade rush is awesome, guys. Shameless, I said it in the intro, one of the best up-and-coming Protoss players. He beats best players of every race. Obviously, not with a 100% win rate, but he beats them frequently, right? He's really getting up there. And then I show up. I built some upgraded units. They are 4 times as strong as he expects. GG has to be called. And that is yet another absolutely beautiful, delicious victory for the TVP original bio upgrade rush. And look at that unit loss, guys. 7.8k against 16.4. Absolutely disgusting. Opponent number 6 is going to be Byeon, a legendary Korean Terran player, world champion of 2016, and somehow a frequent victim of my antics. I think one time we got him in a full best of 3 while I was doing like... I don't know, I think some kind of cheese challenge as well. The ESL Open Cup, it was called back then. It was good stuff. Also got him a couple time in, I don't know why, but I had a better win rate against him post-retirement from pro play. So maybe I just needed to unleash my inner baboon earlier. But this matchup is going to be, like I mentioned before, I think in the second game of the entire video, the most difficult matchup for sure for the upgrade rush. And we're gonna have to find a good way to do this, right? So I decided to open with a double gas. I thought there were a couple good ideas to be able to keep myself safe without investing that much. The first one is very obviously just the standard. You make probably 5 unit Reaper Hellion, or maybe even 3, or maybe even 8. Just any amount of Reaper Hellion, right? That can keep you safe, and then you can double eBay. Maybe you can even pretend to attack, stuff like that. But then I got a better idea. I thought I could play double gas, Reaper Expand, or not Reaper Expand, just 1 Reaper only, no Marine, and then go instant Tech Lab. Pretty much the build that Iba did earlier against my Protoss. I think that was 2 games ago, I want to say. Where, yeah, I mean, he went for a Marine that time. I went for a Reaper this time, which I think is better for TVT. And that way you can kind of make Cyclones, and Cyclones can keep you safe against virtually every early game Terran unit, okay? some things like a bit more mid-gamey could be a problem, such as speed banshees or like a tank push or stuff like that. But for the most part, cyclones could keep you safe, while only really needing 1 or 2 units. And this idea I really liked. So I'm making a cyclone here. Notice how I haven't made anything else from the barracks, right? I know I'm gonna play bio here, by the way, because I thought it would be the best chance for me to win. Like, the mech upgrade rush is very good, but I also feel like it's a little bit too slow. Like, you know what the problem is with mech? I feel like that build is insanely good, probably all the way up to low Grandmaster. But the high Grandmaster, if they play fast, I think they can just kind of dodge your army because you're too slow to cast him with mech. And then the upgrades don't really matter that much, you know? Like, I don't feel like you can make stuff happen. So, bio, probably the better way to go about it. You could play a very long game with mech upgrades, but then I feel like you also don't have to rush the upgrades as much. So I still haven't really figured the mech upgrade rush out yet. And this one we're going to go bio. Really like this build. Look at the timing on this. The eBays are going to finish. Boom. 200 gas can start 1-1 instantly. Isn't that beautiful? Tell me that's not beautiful, guys. This build is actually, I think 100% this is the best TVT upgrade rush build I've done yet. Double gas, instant cyclone, double eBay after the first cyclone, or I'm not even sure exactly when I built it, to be honest. I built it instinctively, so it probably makes sense. I know it was slightly after 3 minutes, and then we can just start building Marines. Now, in an ideal world, I would have scouted with my Reaper, but it's a pretty risky thing to do. So the problem is that I don't know what build he's going for. If you play double gas, you don't really want to SCV scout because it's already a pretty low economy build, right? So you don't really want to go out to SCV scout. And then if I would have moved my Reaper out when I only had 1 cyclone, for example, if he went for double gas himself and he had 2 Reapers, he could have jumped into my main or ran into my natural. And if my Cyclone wasn't luckily in position, I would have lost a couple SCVs. And in TVT, you don't want to lose any SCVs early on, okay? Because TVT is a low-income matchup for the first, like, 8 minutes or so. If you lose even 4 SCVs, it's pretty bad. It's really bad. Unless you're playing Reaper Expand, where it's, like, kind of okay. Even there, not really. It's pretty bad. So I didn't really want to move out with the Reaper, but if I did, I would have been able to use my Cyclones better. Like here, what it looks like is that he was playing a very passive Reaper Expand to me. Because if he played double gas, he would have had some more stuff. We would have seen it show up already. So I would have been able to move out with my Cyclones and pressure if I knew about this, but I didn't. So that's definitely a little bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. I still think I played it the smart way, to be honest, so no regrets there. But it is something to keep in mind for later. Maybe you could mix in an SCV Scout just so you can use your Cyclones. Maybe you can even skip one of the Cyclones, for example, if you know it's Reaper Expand, stuff like that, right? Like there's a bunch of ways to play it. Now here we're going to go for the instant 2-2. Still incredibly happy with this build. I think this build I'm 100% going to work on or work with for the future, because this could make upgrade rushes in TVT I mean, I don't know if they're ever going to be as good as against Protoss, because that's just epic, right? Those games against Skillers and Shameless just absolutely freaking epic. I don't know if it's ever going to be that good, but if it's going to be even remotely as good, even anywhere close, I'm going to be pretty happy with it already. I mean, this version looks nice, right? Like, it's not even 6 minutes. We have our 2-2 started, 30C started. We have 75 supply of mostly Marines. In TVT, I would say the biggest thing that you have to be afraid of is Banshee and tank pushes. Worst case scenario, both. Because tank pushes, you don't have stim fast, you don't have combat shield fast, so I don't think you can really stop them very well. So you could potentially do this build on a big map, right? Like, this map is big. I feel like it's very expected for the opponent to play greedy on this. Or not even greedy, just economic. I think that just makes complete sense, right? So on a map like this, it's actually a very good choice. So that's the main reason I didn't veto it. Then move forward a little bit too much. Actually, once again, we wouldn't have killed those Cyclone or the Reaper without the +1 attack, by the way. It's like every time you see something die and it's close, we killed it because of +1 attack. Now, Bjorn went in here with his Ravens. This was a little bit of an annoying move because I didn't see it coming, mainly. I really just... his vibe gave me... I know it's not really Bjorn's style, but he just... If someone plays that passive from the start, they just feel like they're going to play passive, right? Like, his build was more economic than mine, so you would imagine him to sit back. Also, I sent my mules back too late here, so definitely you could say it caused a little bit of... yeah, I wouldn't call it panic. I didn't panic, but I just wasn't expecting it, so it was yeah, I don't even know what to call it, really. A little bit of chaos, I guess, in my base, I guess is the best way to put it. Now, there I almost caught the ravens, but not quite. That would have been delicious if I caught them. And there I scanned the third base. I'm doing the exact same thing as I'm doing in TVP, where I'm moving out with a drop, and I'm attacking at the front in the same time. We also kept his ravens away, which is really nice, but then this drop is very, very painful. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really not a fan of this drop strategically, and that is kind of historically how games against Koreans go a lot. They tend to make questionable decisions, but they just play them extremely well for the most part. That's kind of how it goes. Now, there was a tank shot there on my Marines, which is a little bit painful, so I'm just going to use my opportunity to kill a lot of SCVs here. Now, we cleared out one mineral line. We're going to save this next medevac as well, but obviously not the best moment here for me. And this was really unfortunate, because I actually think that we got a very good build order. Where there we snipe another tank. Somehow that tank reaches those last... I swear, other guys' tanks have more range than mine. There's just... That has to be the only explanation, right? There's no other way around it. But anyway, this was a little bit of a sad moment, because I felt like we had a good setup. 2-2's done already. It was beautiful. But then I didn't see the drop coming, and it kind of caused double chaos everywhere. First the ravens, then the drops. So his aggression really did a number on me. And now we have a very low SCV count. And we're going to have to make this happen with our upgrades. Now, we have a lot of gas in the bank, so that means that we don't actually have to rebuild any gases for the most part. I'm not quite sure what happened to my Cyclones. I might have lost them, actually. I feel like I thought my Cyclones would have been there at some point, but I don't quite see them. So I'm gonna go for a drop in the natural over here. This drop looked like a fantastic idea until I saw the tank, but at that point I was already kind of committed, unfortunately. So I could have done two things here. First, I saw the Liberators. I wanted to go for the Liberators, but then the Ravens show up. So this drop ended up being a little bit of a disaster, sadly. If I maybe dropped a little bit further back outside of the range of that tank, I could have maybe taken down the E-base, and that would have been a massive moment for me. But sadly for me, this is both an unfortunate game, and I'm also just not playing so well so far. Now, there's a good chance that that's going to change. But so far, this has not been a fantastic start, to say the least, okay? Honestly, it's been pretty terrible. I think the build went very nicely, but besides that, it's been terrible. I had like 2 or 3 moments like this where I thought I killed the medevac already and then it would come back, or I thought I got rid of the ravens and it would come back and then I lose more eco, so it's definitely been quite annoying in that regard. I guess I just wasn't playing fast enough this game, at least up until this point, so it was kind of hard to keep track of everything. Now, there we finally killed the medevac. At this point, I thought he was out on the map because he stopped paying attention to the medevac, which is usually something that people do when they're doing something else important, right? Like they're attacking at the front or they're attacking in 2 other places. So just to... because they need to spend their attention on that, you can see something else kind of suffers. Now, we did kill 2 Liberators there, even though we took some SCV losses. I think it's actually pretty nice to get rid of potential harassment thingy, so that's okay. Now, the thing is here, guys, that is kind of deceptively good for us. Is that... Oh, that's a misclick by him. That's kind of funny. We misclick. He sieged his Liberator on top of nothing, and I scanned my depots. Okay, I think... I mean, it's pretty deep into the tournament at this point. It's kind of funny to watch. I guess we're both a little bit tired at this point. That was great. What I wanted to say is keep in mind, I've already started my 3-3. I don't really need these gases anymore. So even though my economy looks small, I have 3 fully saturated mineral lines, and that's kind of all I need, to be honest. Like, I need a couple of gases for medevacs, or maybe even just 1 gas. But besides that, I don't actually need that much. So I have 150 supply. Using my StarCraft knowledge, I would guess that he is probably at about 180 or so. So he's definitely far ahead. But my SCV count is relatively low, and my 3-3 is about to finish. So my army is about to be pretty insane, to be honest. Now, let's see if I can actually clear this up without losing all my stuff. That would be great. I have a couple more Marines here. 3-3 finished just now. Now, we're going to be able to stim in here. Looks like his army was out of position. I'm going to kill this tank first, and then I'm just going to target fire this command center over here. Really just want to give some compliments to myself as well. I've been a little harsh on myself. While I was playing this, I was also harsh on myself. Because I just wasn't happy with the way I was playing. At least for the first 10 minutes, I feel like this situation should have looked much better, but I'm still managing to make a lot happen. Like, I think I lost 1 million SCVs, and somehow I still did find myself having 160 supply, having 3-3, and sniping his 3rd base. So honestly, I guess I can give myself a little bit of a pat on the back for that one. That is really nice. Now, one thing that I am missing here is a couple medevacs at the front, like those 2 that I have with my well, not my main army, my army back at home. If I had those with my main army at the front, I would be able to do a 40 marine drop in the main with 3-3, and that would be quite nice, I think. Since I don't have that, I think that's a bit of an opportunity I'm missing. Obviously, it's hard to play when you don't see everything, because he could be moving in front of my base, right? Like, if I send too many units to the front, it could be a very painful attack. Now, here I was ready for this one. I started getting used to his YOLO-ness a little bit here, so that's funny to see. Even in the middle of a game, you can still adapt. Now, once again, guys, somehow we find ourselves maxed out with 3-3, which is just absolutely crazy. I also still have a 1 HP Cyclone that... I'm not sure if it's done... Oh, there is 12 kills. Okay, I was going to say, I'm not sure if it's done a lot of work or not. I just remember that it wasn't always in position where I wanted it to be. But that bad boy has freaking 12 kills, which is crazy. Now, here I was waiting for him to kind of mess up with his medevacs and fly them over my marines. Sadly, not happening. Now, basically what I'm looking for in this game is just one Omega fight when he's unsieged. Hopefully when he doesn't have 3-3 yet. And I have 5 million marines. That's the plan, okay? That's the entire plan right now. But right now, those two medevacs are keeping me hostage a little bit. Here I can see it on the minimap. This was one of those disastrous moments. I think I lost a couple medevacs and I lost probably about 20 marines or so. Just one of those things where, yeah, once again, just playing a little bit too slow this game. Now, I still have 180 supply and I definitely have more marines than him, I would say. The anti-armor missile here is really, really good, by the way, but I do have the +3 attack. He was a little bit late on launching the anti-armor missile. He had one on a couple marines in the back, but not the ones in the front, and we managed to clear him up. Now, I got a Viking over there. Actually, I thought I made a Viking, but did it never show up? I only see the Cyclone on the minimap, so I'm just curious what the heck happened. Now here, he finally moved the medevac, so we managed to find them over here. That's where I send them out. That is -20 supply, roughly, so that is great. Now keep in mind, we still don't have a 4th base. He has been on at least 4 bases for most of this, of course, because we saw him rebuild the 3rd base that I killed. I would guess there's a decent chance he's not on 5 bases yet, so that is pretty nice. And once again, we are not actually spending a lot of gas, so our economy is still deceptively good. Now, my 4th base is about to finish over here. Gonna send a drop to the bottom side, try to catch a 5th base or drop into the main base, whatever it's gonna be. And then I have a small army on the left side as well. Now, sadly, my drop did run into his army. That is a little bit unfortunate. I mean, my army is still gonna be quite good. I think he still doesn't have 3-3. Either it just finished or he still doesn't have it. I'm not quite sure. But we are going to be able to kill another command center over here, which is beautiful. There we go. That's another really nice snipe, boosting the medevacs away. Now I have a bit of an army at the front as well, so we're going to go in with this. Now let's see. He actually never moved that tank, which is insane. Also, the freaking fortified bunker actually helped him, which is crazy. Okay, I'm not sure if I've ever seen a fortified bunker do anything in a TVT. I think that might be the first, actually, so that's pretty funny. Now, my medevac is getting chased by marines. I do see it. I caught it on the minimap here. But I should be able to get away with that one. That is nice. It's actually, he's done a really good job this game with keeping tanks in good positions. Like, even when I dropped him the first time, I feel like his tank was in a fantastic position. There, he retreats in a really timely fashion. And I don't actually have that many medevacs. That turret somehow reaches my freaking medevac. That would have been a pretty nice distraction in the main base, actually, but sadly, not going to happen. Now, he is over here. His army is not siege, so I'm just going to go for it. My army is a little bit lower HP. That's going to be a really fat anti-armor missile, sadly, for me. It looks like +3 attack has finished for him in the meantime, actually. Now, we clean up the biggest part of his army. But keep in mind that we did miss this base all the time. Like, we have the base now. We still have 140 supply, but... Ah, man, trading armies... I wouldn't call it inefficiently. It might have been inefficiently, but I'm not quite sure. Now here I saw his tanks were in siege, so I decided to go for it. I think this was still the right call, but sadly for me, those tanks did a little bit too much, and we're gonna have to concede to Bian. And that's gonna be it for the first ever tournament run with upgrade rushes. I think it went very, very well. We beat Skillis and Shameless, two of the best Protoss players in Europe with the upgrade rush. This game, once again, kind of want to give myself a bit of a pat on the back because I honestly, I did not play well this game for the first 10 minutes, okay? It was tough. I made a lot of mistakes, way more than I usually would. Could have won this game in different ways. Looking at it, my build 100% worked though, so that's the good takeaway from this. Like, if you look at the situation here, I'm basically up a full set of upgrades and that's about it, right? He's up 10 supply, I have the upgrades. I think the build definitely worked. Just didn't play well enough, and that's unfortunate, but I still did my best. Still got back to max. Still made some stuff happen, but barely not good enough. And Bjorn, obviously a fantastic player. And that's going to be it. We finished top 8 in an absolutely stacked tournament full of world champions, without exaggeration. And that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys had a fantastic time. If you did, give the video a like, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the Patreon as well if you really liked it. And I'll catch you all for the next one. Adios.